Hello, everybody, and welcome to Audrey Live. It's been a few weeks, I guess. It's what is today? Today is Thursday, January the 14th, and we are well into 2021. And I did do a quick little post there on New Year's Day, so it was nice to see some people and just say Happy New Year's or Happy New Year's Eve, whatever it may be. So hopefully everybody's had a great holiday. I made the best of the situation and enjoyed time with your family and time outside. And we're excited to get back to our Audrey Live and connecting with you out there as well. On today's show, we have a great show. We have the multi-talented Jen Tryon, who will be on the show today. So stay tuned to join that conversation. She is a regular contributor on the The Morning Show. You can find her there. And also regular on the crafter on the HSN in the US HSN in the US and TSC in Canada. So we are excited to have her on the show today and learn what she's been up to. So she's a busy lady as well. And I know many of you follow her in many of these different channels as well. So first of all, I just want to make sure people are realizing that we do this or have been doing this on a weekly basis every Thursday at 1 Eastern. And starting this year, we're going to do it every other week. There's just so much going on. When we started this, there wasn't really a lot going on, not a lot of lives, not a lot of Zoom classes and things like that. And now there's just so much out there for us to take advantage of. So we've decided to go every other week. So we will be back on the 28th. Every other Thursday. But make sure that you check out our shows on our YouTube channel, which is Pin It Canada. And you can subscribe and hit that little bell. And that way you will get notification of when we upload the different shows to our YouTube channel. On New Year's Day, for those who watched the video, I challenged you to come up with your positive word for 2021. It's something that you'll look at every day that will kind of help you get through for your personal life or your business life, or something that you just want to strive towards, work towards. Many words came to mind as I was thinking of mine, as I mentioned, like inspire, focus, develop, routine, simplify, gratitude, thrive, develop, action, take a break, etc. But I decided that my word was going to be refocus. I've been so focused on what I've been doing for over 25 years, believe it or not. So, sometimes it's time, we're all kind of in that stage where we're rebranding ourselves or looking for other things or new things to do, like this Audrey Live and our Pin It Canada live virtual event. So that was my word. So I've kind of I did one of these art mapping things and it was so interesting because I just put in about 5 words, refocus to be my main word, and the other ones were just secondary words. And this is what came up, and I was really impressed because art and inspire were the 2 secondary words that came up. It just as large almost as the refocus. So that was kind of neat. If you want to have the link of how to do this, we will put it on our feed here. Corey will take care of that. So if you want to make one, it's actually quite easy. You just put in the words and then put in the shape that you want it to be, and then it just comes up with your action words. So I made it a heart. And I was just really impressed how refocus was my main word. That came up the largest. And then art and inspire were right there behind it. So just neat how things like that happen. Also this year, we are busy with all the different things that are happening online, but just make sure that you still connect with, your group of friends or with your family online as well. I don't know, where everybody else is, and please post where you are from. But I'm in a rural area, but it's near London, Ontario. And as of midnight last night, we were put on a state of emergency lockdown. So if we weren't really, visiting with people or seeing people. But of course, this now has come to the point where we cannot leave our house unless you're getting groceries or for medical. So food or necessities and medical. So it just kind of takes it, I guess, up that level, which, is needed right now. We've kind of come into that second wave, and, we need to get those numbers down. We need to get what they call it, I can't remember, the wave to go this way. My mind's not quite thinking yet. So, it's important to connect with people. And I mean, for us, for my group of friends, we've been usually every Monday afternoon, we spend a couple hours together at each other's house creating. And we've been doing that for, I don't know how many years. I can't even remember. It's got to be at least 20, 25 years as well. And so, now we're doing it on Zoom, which is great. It's just not exactly the same, but we've kind of come up with, now instead of just everybody working on their own thing, we're going to work on separate, on projects together. So it's almost like we're in a class, or like we would when we get together. So we're going to start with, we want to do something springy, something fun. So we're actually I picked this up from Holly last year. I just loved it. It just looks fun. It looks creative. It makes you laugh. It makes you smile. So that's her spring shower owl. So, because sometimes, you're painting by yourself and, you have questions about things. So we're going to do that together, that project together, get together every week for a couple hours on Zoom and actually, paint the project together. So that's another thing that you can do with your friends. Be creative together. Whether you paint, whether you scrapbook, whether you mix media, whether you bake, anything, with your friends, your family, your grandchildren. Just set up things that are weekly schedules on your calendar so that you just don't get lost in the news, the TV, with everything that's happening out there. So very important, very important. So I just want to kind of reiterate that as well. Also, with the new year, we're thinking about our in-person shows. Usually by January, when January comes around, February, we're just like right in there doing the organizing, getting all the details ready. And we can't do that quite yet. I mean, we are really hoping that we are going to be able to do our in-person shows. So that's we have the Art Waves London, Pinnock Canada, that's in London, Ontario, June 24th, 2021. I do have a meeting with them tomorrow with Fanshawe to kind of set up some sort of a plan in place of where we are and when we need to make decisions as we go along. So, and then of course, we have our Art Waves West in Olds, Alberta, which will be September 16th, starting 2021. And I certainly hope by then we will definitely be able to come together. So we will keep you updated on all that's going on. As soon as we know, we will let you know. And this year is our 25th year or 25th anniversary of organizing shows across Canada. So it's kind of a special year. So we're really, keeping our fingers crossed that we are going to be able to meet in person and be able to celebrate with you. And all the years that we've been together and creating together and making memories together. So yeah, we'll keep you informed as we go along of that as well. So I think we're just going to get right to it because I'm so excited. I'm just bursting at the seams, so to speak, with our guest today, Jennifer Tryon. She is a crafty TV personality that believes everything is better when it's homemade. You'll find her on the Craft and Sewing Days on HSN in the US and TSC in Canada. Jennifer is a regular craft, sewing, and DIY contributor of The Morning Show on Global Television. She lives in Toronto with her husband and her 3 children. And hello, Jennifer.
Hello, Audrey. How are you doing?
I am so excited that you're finally live with us.
I know, it takes scheduling, doesn't it?
Yes, you are one busy lady.
It's been busy, and the house is full of kids, and my husband's a teacher, so everybody's online. I got to give credit to our internet right now for not totally melting down.
I think that's what so many people are facing is that, they're working from home. They have their kids that are doing homeschooling. You're trying to be a mom. You're trying to keep things up, and it's stressful, but somehow we're getting through it.
These kids just want to eat constantly.
How old are your children?
I have twins who are 10 and a 12 and an 11-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah. So grade 7 and grade 5.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, your history is quite interesting. I know when I first met you, I believe it was in about 2014. It was at the CHA. We did a retreat every year for designers and creators and things like that. And I had known of you beforehand, but this was the first time I met you. And it was just really kind of unique. And you were kind of going through a bit of a change at that time as well. I'm going to just show a little something to everybody, just for them to get a real feel of who Jennifer Tryon was. Let's see here if
this will be a good blast from the past, I think.
A blast from the past, exactly. All right, let's see here if I can share the screen and the sound. There we go.
It is astonishing to everyone, even many of Ford's strongest supporters. Jennifer Tryon is outside the mayor's office tonight. Jen?
Ford's family went public tonight for the first time. His mother and sister saying they have a list of things they want for Rob Ford to do. They want him to get a driver, install an alcohol tester in his car. They want him to check the company he's been keeping. Despite the launch of the new device and the app, experts say it won't be enough to revive the company.
That's some reporter hair right there.
Often tend to be true.
Bad sign, Jen Tryon.
Another way police
Oh, that was awesome. Oh. So that just kind of shows everybody. So give us a little bit about yourself, what you were doing.
Yeah, like I spent years as a reporter, a television reporter. 18 years I was a TV reporter, and the last 10 I spent working for the national news on Global National. And I would travel all over the world on big breaking news stories. And I would often travel with a craft project with me because we were always getting stuck places. And I really loved making things. And, you know, over the years, I got pretty skilled. And I started writing a blog about what I was making, often on the road. And, you know, I would be making things and often to feel closer to home. I remember being in Elliott Lake when the mall collapsed there years ago, and I was there for months and covered that story, like, you know, ad nauseum, really. Like and Mike, my husband, would bring the kids there to visit me, and I would have my sewing machine there, and I'd be like sewing them pajamas at night as a way to like feel like I was still contributing to them.
Yeah.
And you know, in a way that's heartbreaking and heartwarming all at the same time, I realize. But you know, what happened with me was that I got to a point in news where I had covered a lot of really big stories. I had broken a lot of stories. I'd won a lot of awards, and it was a great, great run. And I started to get not that excited anymore. It was like I'd covered it all, or it was new, but it was the same in some way. And I remember being at the Boston Marathon bombings when that happened.
Wow.
And, you know, in the middle of this manhunt in the city.
That gives me chills.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, the cities are empty, and Boston's normally so, you know, bustling, and it was just a ghost town. And, you know, there were Black Hawk helicopters like landing right in front of us, and police dogs going through all of the media because maybe that brother that, you know, that was still alive was somewhere hidden amongst us, you know, because no one really knew then who they were looking for. And so it was a really active scene. And I remember my mom called me, and I was like, you know, are you okay? And I said, do you think you could just follow me on Twitter? And I thought, this isn't great. Like, that's not what I should be saying. And I really was like, we were around the clock reporting, and, you know, we could hear the shots fired when they finally found that brother in the boat. Like, we were probably 100 meters away. Wow. And in terms of being active on a scene, it doesn't get more dynamic. That 9/11, like, there were ones that were like, okay, you know, this is big.
Yeah.
And I really was just like, I want to go home. This is not where my passion is anymore. It's not that I didn't care, because I did care, but I found myself feeling so overwhelmingly drawn to create that I couldn't not do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so many people said to me, like, just before I left news, the network had offered me the Washington bureau chief, and this was just before Trump was just as he was running.
Oh, wow.
And they called me up and they said, what do you think about Washington? And I knew what that meant. And, I said, yeah, sure. But inside my body was screaming, no,
Don't do
no,
it.
I cannot do this. I cannot live that life anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so a lot of people said, like, when I left, and I left on good terms and everyone understood. And there's days I think, I could maybe go back. But I think, no, I followed my true calling. And so many people said, sorry, you're leaving what to do what? You were going to be the bureau chief in Washington and now you're like going to be a quilter? Huh? And I was like, well, something like that, I guess. But the reality is my two worlds really did merge, and I was able to construct a bit of a new career for myself, mostly on TV, but doing something that I truly am passionate about now. And I don't discredit those years in news at all. I mean, that was an amazing career.
Yeah.
But this is an amazing career too. And I'm loving, the segments on the shopping channels in Canada and the US. And I'm loving doing bits on, the same morning show that I would have been on as a journalist. Many times I've been on that show. I'm now contributing to DIY segments. And hey, that's the way it goes. We hear these statistics about people changing careers multiple times. Yep. And you never know, there may be another hidden passion under there somewhere. But right now, it's feeling good.
Well, and I just love, you are so passionate about it, but you're also you can see it's in you, like this is you, and how you bring your children into a lot of the different creativities and the crafting and the projects that you do. And I just love that. And I think that's what so many of us do love about it. It's so real. It is real.
Well, for me, I feel like my whole thing is homemade. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you make it, it's going to be great. And you're going to get this feeling, because this was the feeling that I was missing all those years, that I was chasing in finding this creative outlet, is that homemade feeling. And so I can go back to my childhood and think about times when that feeling really existed. I remember seeing my grandmother and a bunch of ladies in the church basement, and they were all quilting on these big, like, it looked like a loom, but I like these big long arms.
Wooden, yeah.
Yes.
The long wood arms. Yeah.
That's right. And, and I remember thinking, wow, they're all like working together. Like, this is good. This is good. This is a good thing that's happening here. And, even in my own life, like, even if it's like cooking from, maybe it's not always from scratch, but cooking for yourself and your family, sitting down and making something yourself, or repairing it, or finding a way to do a homemade version of that, gives me this feeling that nothing else has. And so when I, involve the kids, or involve any family member for that matter, that's the feeling I'm hoping I'm giving them, is that homemade feeling. And, so often I feel like it was missing for me in my hectic news life. It's probably missing for lots of people in their hectic lives. And even if you can just inject a little bit of it, and even if that just comes by whatever craft or creative outlet you happen to be doing during this time, so many people have turned to it, I do think it will give you something that you're missing everywhere else.
Yeah. Some form of fulfillment for sure.
Yeah. And that's why you see me involve the kids, because you can't not. Because if you're going to, do something that's homemade, then everybody gets in, and sometimes it, doesn't really look the greatest, but sometimes it does. Yeah. Or it's not even really about that in the end anyway.
Yeah. And they have your spunk too. And I remember, well, would have been the 2019 show, I think, that they came to London with you and you guys did the Nailed It competition.
That's right. My daughters
were so excited and wonderful. And yeah, they certainly brought a huge energy to everybody that was around them. So it was just great to see. That's for sure.
And it is good to be able to include kids in your adulting world.
Yeah.
I think it's important for them to see, what you're doing when you go to work and how they might participate in that and how they might carve out their own way. And, my daughters, especially, my son does too, have thought, can I film something? We've got this whole studio and what you're not seeing is cameras and lights everywhere behind me. My TV background, I'm just going to show you, it's alive and well. You'll be able to see the setup.
Oh, wow, look at that.
It's not so pretty everywhere else. So there, you got a little
sneak peek at the background.
Yeah, and so that makes broadcasting from here, like sometimes we're live on HSN and we're switching between all the cameras here, in my basement in Markham, Ontario. So that's kind of cool. And so it is nice for the kids to come down and participate in that in some way. And you were so great to let them come to Pin It Canada and they got to do a little bit of announcing and, hopefully that gives them a little bit of self-esteem and encouragement, and that's good.
That's good. Good. Exactly.
Yeah.
So how did you really start then into what was the moment where you knew, okay, this is my crafting and being creative and being the TV personality you are today? When did you finally think, yeah,
I did not grow up doing tons of crafts or sewing or anything like that. Instead, what I did was I grew up and my grandmother lived in the house with us. And I saw her doing a lot of that all the time, like baking bread from scratch, like making quilts, knitting slippers, knitting mittens, tending to all those kinds of very traditional things. And we grew up in an all-female household. There was nothing very traditional about how we grew up. My mom worked and, we didn't have a whole lot of male influences in our life. Like there was not a standard like family, like traditional by the books, the stereotype that didn't exist. So I really came to this much, much later. In fact, it was in university. I was like studying and I was doing journalism and I was doing a double major in law. And so I was doing these tandem degrees. And I thought if I don't get a job in TV, then, I'll write the bar exam. And, I knew I was going to have like a career, like something to chew on. Like I wasn't messing around.
Yeah.
And mostly that's because I didn't grow up with very much. And I thought, and my mom really instilled in us, like, you're going to have and do better than I did. And, you won't have to rely on anyone but yourself. And so I always knew that this was what I was doing. However, the first house I moved into in university with like a bunch of roommates, and it was like kind of a dump. We had like this dining room, which I immediately turned into a craft room. And I don't really know why, but I just did. And I used to make my boyfriend go to Michael's and he'd be like, oh, kill me. What are we doing here? And I'd be like, I don't know. I'm just obsessed with this.
Yeah.
And every house I have lived in since then, and so like I was with a bunch of university roommates that year, a bunch of university roommates the next year, then it was me and we always had some sort of room that was just all crafting all the time. While I still did all of this other, for whatever reason, I thought this was where I was needing to be, but this was what was pulling me. And so it was in university when things were kind of, when I was on my own, and, that's when it really started to emerge in me and I couldn't deny it anymore. But in terms of like, I couldn't deny it as a career, it was the Boston Marathon bombings. That's exactly when the trigger happened. And I was still, I think, 2 more years before I was brave enough and set up enough to actually quit.
Yeah.
So nobody, if anyone's watching thinking, I want to give up my day job, I want to do crafts for a living too. It wasn't a wake up one day and be like, I quit. Now let's hope something happens. I was just as strategic about moving out of news as I was to getting into it.
Because that's what I thought too, because I know when I met you, that was, I think, 2014.
Yeah, and I didn't
the clip
quit
that we were
until-
just watching, that was from 2018. So I mean, it was a process. It definitely was a process for you.
Totally.
So.
And so I remember going down to Tampa to do my first little stints on the shopping channel. I was watching, And I got back and I literally got off the red eye and went right to the newsroom because I was trying to just test the waters. Like, could I really do this? Am I really willing to give this up? I had a big career I was going to give up. We have a mortgage like in Toronto, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not cheap. Life is expensive, and kids, they just, like I said, they just never stop eating. So I couldn't just be irresponsible and just live my authentic life without really trying to get my ducks in a row. So it took a few years to do that, for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
And now you are doing an event called the Homemade, a virtual sewing event. And that sounds really exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, like I do all these shows on TV and people are constantly emailing me like, you know, what can you do? Help me, like all the time. And I love corresponding, talking crafts and talking sewing, talking scrapbooking, whatever kind of crafts you're into, I'm into too, for sure. And then I thought, okay, I was participating in a virtual event with Scrapbooking Cards Today magazine.
Yeah. And
it was for scrapbooking. And all the scrapbookers just were like, yeah, we want to do this. We got nowhere to go. And then I got together with them and we're going to do one on card making, and everybody signed up. And I thought, well, what about the sewers? So Scrapbooking Cards Today magazine doesn't have much to do with sewers. So Janome was sort of interested in doing something like this. I thought, okay, let's talk to Janome. Janome was wanting to do something virtual. So we got together and now we're going to do a virtual sewing event. And Janome sort of left it to me to brand it and, you know, do most of the heavy lifting. They're sponsoring the event and being very generous, and it's all Janome people who are teaching it and stuff. But I branded it Homemade because that's the feeling that I love and that I hope everybody gets from this when they're stuck at home. And they hopefully will hone their, you know, some of their sewing skills, will make some very cool projects, and they'll have done it themselves. Even in the midst of this time when you can't go anywhere, we're going to send everybody a big box of supplies. So we don't want anyone having to go out and buy anything extra, because this is not the time for that. Right. So I'm excited. I'm so excited because I've just been shopping for like the most gorgeous fabrics to be including in everybody's boxes, and like little extra treats to be going. I know there's such cool, I mean, and I'm telling you, if I don't love it, it's not going in the box. And I'm just trying to squeeze everyone I can to get everybody the best stuff in this box. And, you know, lots of people have signed up, and we're closing the registration this week, and because I've got to get the stuff ordered, and I'm excited for it all to show up and to just get this out to everybody. And so last weekend of March, we're going to do a live weekend in our virtual sewing room, and we've got tons of guest speakers and anybody who has basically a sewing machine that wants to, you know, get it out and dust it off. We've got teachers that are there to help. We're sending you everything you need. And it's just a fun way to get together and cultivate this homemade feeling, because we all need a little something to look forward to. And sometimes we don't know where to start or what to use. And so we're trying to meet people in the middle, where you don't have to know all the right terms. You don't have to have all the right stuff. We're going to help give you some of it, and then we're going to teach you a little bit along the way. So,
yeah. And that's what I was going to ask you. Like, can you be a beginner sewer? Like, what level should you be? As long as you have a sewing machine, you're good to go? Or is
yes. I mean, I think you can be a confident beginner. I think you have to know how to thread your own machine and get it going, because it is virtual. So I'm not there in person to be like, oh, you put that in the bobbin's not threaded correctly. You do need to know how to basically use your sewing machine. And you get access to the classes for a year, so you can go at your own pace. Even though we are rolling them out live, you can stop and start the classes and ask us stuff live. Plus, the in-between the actual classes is really going to be the fun part, because that's where I'm going to be live and I'll have guests and we're going to be doing giveaways and, you know, just try to do something a little different, you know?
That sounds fun. Now, do you have anything that physical that you can show us of the classes?
So the class that I'm teaching is how to turn. Okay, so honestly, it's a theme in my life, and it's a theme in this class that I'm the homemade. So I've taken, and maybe you've seen me post this before, but so many people have asked me how to do this project that I'm teaching it as a class. So basically what I've done is taken my grandmother's recipe for butter tarts.
Oh, awesome.
and turned it into an embroidery stitch
Wow.
and put it on this tea towel. And I've done it, like I've put it on an apron front, the same recipe. I get the kids to draw out things like their names and put them on their towel out of their own handwriting. So being able to transform someone's handwriting into an embroidery stitch is what I'm going to be teaching at the event. It's one of the embroidery classes. Now you do need to have an embroidery machine for that. And so that's an add-on bonus. Like if you're more advanced and you want to go for that because you've got the equipment, you can. So I'm doing that little add-on class. But the 4 main classes are this very cool halter apron. We're doing a quilt, a few blocks of this quilt, free motion quilting to teach people how to free motion quilt. And we are making a bag from Blue Calla Patterns, which her bags are so great. And so if anyone's ever thought, oh, I'd love, this is just a great way. We'll give you all the stuff, take you through it step by step. And at the end of the weekend, you'll have something to show for it, for sure. And then there's so many extra goodies in the box too. That's what I'm really excited to give people.
Perfect.
I want people to think Fab Fit Fun, but for sewing. So they really squeal when they open the box.
You should ask them to do to tape that. They have to tape what do they do? The unboxing,
That's right.
You want to be there. You want to see it.
Yes, maybe we could get some explosive confetti or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have thought of that sooner.
So what other things are you working on right now? I mean, that's a huge project, obviously, but
it's a huge project. And, I've been making samples for that. We've been working on a quarantine quilt, my daughters and I, little houses. The whole quilt is made all of little houses, and it, because here we are in lockdown again. My sisters and I'm just finishing making over Christmas. We met on Skype every single week, my sisters and my mom, and I sent everybody the fabric and a pattern, and we each did one line of a Christmas quilt, and it was about 4 or 5 blocks each.
Yeah.
And so everybody's done their rows, and we finished it at Christmas, and I really should finish cooking that, because we decided everybody in our family, like kids and husbands, everybody, we draw a name and somebody would win the quilt.
Oh, that would be
we've all worked on it. So I'm just finishing that up in between, all the rest. We've got sewing shows coming up on TSC April 1st. We've had some HSN shows in the last little while, and it's busy. It's really busy. It's been good though.
Good. Well, that's awesome. We're really excited about it. And I am going to, after we're done, roll the little promo on the on your homemade virtual sewing event, so they can get a little bit more of an idea of what it's all. I saw that was on Facebook, so I thought, well, I'll roll that, and then they can see that as well.
That'd be great, because there's so many very cool and diverse people participating, and it's going to be really fun.
Good. Yeah. Well, anything else that you have to share with us before we sign off, so to speak, or is there anything else that you wanted to?
No, it's just been so nice chatting. I feel like you asked me all the questions. I want to be like, Audrey, how are you doing through all this?
Well, you know what? It's one of those things where you kind of have ups and downs. I think it's definitely, like you said, we're in lockdown again here in Ontario, and we kind of talked about the other day. We're like for us here, it hasn't really made a huge change because we've kind of been in lockdown anyway. My husband's working from home, my daughter's working from home, I work from home, so and we never really went out anywhere. We didn't, even when the restaurants opens, we didn't go.
I built this bunker for this to happen all along.
We've remodeled the office, and we've kind of done things, but I think the one thing is the connection. You kind of, and that's why I've been saying to people, to really make an effort to connect with people, to be involved in these Zoom classes, or sign up for the online classes and to watch everything, but also to just make sure, like you do, connect with your family, connect with your friends. Like I said, there's 5 or 6 of us that we get together every Monday afternoon at 1:00 at somebody's house, and we create. We've done that for years and years, and we haven't been able to do that. And it's like there's a hole, there's a void. So we're just trying to do the next best thing, so we still meet on Zoom, and mostly everybody's doing their own thing or just chit chatting. But I'm like, okay, we need to have a little bit more of a focus. My word for this year was refocus.
Right. That's cool.
And
That's cool.
so I said, let's just start all doing the same thing. So it's almost like our own little class or our own
Right.
little creating time. So,
Nice.
and I think that's things like that is what's going to get everybody through it. Right.
For sure. For sure. And, it feels like we're going into a little bit of a lull now in terms of connect, but we're coming out of it. We just got to stay the course.
Exactly. So, well, thank you so much, Jennifer. We
You're
look forward to
welcome.
seeing you and the event. And thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was awesome. I just love Jennifer. She's just such a wonderful, giving person, and just really enjoy having her on the show. I'm just going to take a quick look here. I wanted to show you her. I had it here. Oh, there it is. Good. I still have it up. Sometimes when you're on this Zoom and you're live, you lose things. So I'm just going to show you the little promo that they did for her event. So you can take a look and see what it's all about.
Happy New Year, I'm Jennifer Tryon. Are you looking to get a little more creative in 2021, but there's no sewing lessons available or classes to take? Don't worry, we've got you covered. You've got to check out the Homemade virtual sewing event. It's taking place over the weekend, March 26th to the 28th. Classes, seminars, you can ask experts questions. Plus, we're going to send you a big box of sewing supplies, everything you need, apart from your machine, to participate in all of the projects we're doing during the Homemade weekend. You've got to check it out. Go to jennifertryon.com to register. Happy New Year, I'm Jennifer Tryon. Are you looking to get a little more creative? 21.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, Jennifer. So there's just a little bit of tidbit of information about her event, and we will post as well where you can get more information and to sign up. And it just looks like it would be something fun. And if maybe you're a beginner sewer, but this might inspire you to learn more as well about sewing and get your creative juices flowing. In regards to, and Jennifer is the one that Pin It. When we started our Pin It Canada, I before we started, actually, it was just an idea that I had and how I wanted to have the shows moving forward, to have them grow and have more creative creativity from all different regions come together. So not just the painting, not just the mixed media and the scrapbooking and fiber arts and all that sort of thing. And so there was a group of us. There was 4 of us. It was actually Brenda Greenwood Vernem, Jen Tryon, Wendy Russell, and myself that got together a couple of times. We met in Toronto for lunch and that sort of thing. And this would have been probably 4 years ago or so. And they just guided me a little bit on, a bit of a focus or refocus of the Pin It Canada shows. And it was Jen who came up with the name Pin It Canada. So thank you, Jen, for that as well. So, so wonderful to have friends that can help you along your paths. Next week, we have February 5th. February 5th is our Pin It Canada live virtually event, our next event. It will start at 11 a.m. Eastern on Facebook. So make sure that you go on to Facebook, and it'll be on the Pin It Canada page. And we have some great presenters already booked, and we've got a couple spots left. So we're just working on the promos for it. And again, you will not be disappointed. It'll be a great, probably 5 hours of creativity. And again, that's Friday, February the 5th. So it's it's gonna be a lot of fun, a lot of creativity. If you are interested in being a presenter on the show, please email me. Like I said, or you can give me a call or message me. There's so many different ways, right? And we can get you in on the show still as well. So, and it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, it's probably something that we plan on doing, at least 3 times a year. and just to keep everybody engaged and everyone to be online and learning about what's new in the industry. So our next show, we are going to be doing every other week now, as I mentioned. So our next show will be January 28th. And our live guest is the dynamic Debbie Cotton. She will be our live guest that day. And she has some really great ideas that she's going to share with you and some new projects. So you won't want to miss that show. So thank you everybody for watching today, and keep being creative. And keep positive. I know sometimes it's really hard to do. I'm finding the same thing sometimes, especially now we're kind of in that January, February lull, but just try to put things on your schedule, that will keep you positive, creative, and busy. So take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we'll see you in 2 weeks on Audrey Live. Thank you.